Taking a look at Nvidia, shares this year up 172%. The rally cooling just a bit as of late, but an options trade this week could aid in a new rally. There's a big call trade this Thursday on Nvidia, and joining us now for more, we want to bring in David Boole. He's ayCrest Managing Director. David, it's great to see you again. So here we are with Nvidia. We've seen a bit of a rally so far this month. Shares up just about 11%. We're sitting just shy of that all-time high. What is that catalyst? Do you see a catalyst potentially here on the horizon?
The catalyst simply could be seasonality. I've noticed that Nvidia stock has been incredibly strong in Q4 and especially into Q1. And we're kind of exiting this regime where I look at the options where investors have been using Nvidia options that are priced very high because the stock moves so much. They're not necessarily rich to extract some income, selling calls against long stock, selling puts, be willing to buy it lower. And now we're back, it seems, after this huge trade on Thursday into a regime where clients are buying Nvidia calls. And that in itself can, apart from the fundamental story, of course, can help propel the stock higher, where if there's a surge in upside call buying, this was a hallmark of the rally in 2023 and early 2024. Seems like we could be getting back to that type of regime where investors are reaching for the upside via Nvidia calls.
It doesn't seem like this is for a daily options play, but a more long-term one. So where are the strongest contracts that you're seeing right now? Even as Nvidia right now, at this juncture is just within a couple bucks of its all-time high.
So the big trade that printed on Thursday, they got a lot of people in my world speaking, was unusual in the size. About $200 million in option premium was spent on Nvidia March calls. The strikes were up 20% to up 40%. The other unusual part about this trade was that about 25 different call strikes were bought or traded. It seemed like they were bought based on how the stock reacted simultaneously. This is odd. Sometimes we call this a strip of options. Often you see this in index options, VIX or SPX, if you're replicating something on the other side of this. So there's a chance there's some sort of exotic structure on the other side of this trade that somebody is hedging, or it could just be an asset manager looking to get long exposure into March. Either way, this position is out there and we see the footprint in the listed option market. And so someone's playing for a rally, into March. You capture two earnings cycles, November and February. And the beginning of the year, January, February, March, it's incredibly strong for Nvidia. It was up 80% in 2023, up 100% in 2024 in these first 3 months of the year. So I think investors could be looking forward to possibly a similar move in 2025.
Yeah, David, when you talk about, and that really puts it in perspective, right? Maybe the size of the move that we could see, but talk to us just about the size of the positioning there that you mentioned. That really caught my attention because how much of that really has to play into how much that could exacerbate this move here to the upside. And on the flip side, how does volatility then potentially play into all this?
So it definitely could exacerbate it. I mean, there's a story in the options market. There's a story outside of the options market. I think it's all intertwined. But if you have a lot of investors that are long calls on the upside and dealers and market makers that are selling these calls are hedged, as the stock goes higher, they need to buy the stock as the stock rallies. Also, there's a volatility exposure. About 6-month implied volatility, which this option trade is about 50%, which is very high, if not the highest implied volatility in the S&P 500. It's one of the highest, and it's not overvalued. The stock actually moves that much, which is incredible for a stock of this size. And if implied volatility goes up, it could create a need through the dynamics of these call options for the dealers on the other side of these calls to buy even more stock as the stock goes higher. So it's a different regime, like I mentioned earlier, compared to the last time I was on when we talked about Nvidia earnings, where investors seem to be selling calls. There was a huge short call position in the 130 strike that I talked about might be difficult to get through that 130 strike. That type of positioning is not there as much, and now it's more clients looking to play the upside, and the whole move could essentially be exacerbated.